Oh, yeah. Especially because I'm in South Houston, which is, bad. It's pretty ghetto.
My favorite. It's my favorite area.
We've been recording for 4 minutes and haven't started this episode yet.
Okay, are you ready?
I am always ready, dude.
Okay. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 14 of the Casual Observers.
Wow, really? 14?
We've been doing this for 2 solid weeks.
I was thinking the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
2 solid weeks.
Worth of episodes.
Yeah.
It's actually 14 weeks.
Yeah.
Total. Okay, anyway.
Which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which sounds more impressive, if we did an episode every day for 2 weeks, or if we did one episode every week for 14 weeks.
I like 14. We've been doing this for 14 weeks because that's just a longer time span.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, this episode is...
Because I think we do something during the rest of the week that's this, but we actually don't.
Yeah, like we have to get ready.
Actually, if anything, we do the opposite of this. We intentionally don't talk about the topic in order to save it all for the show. So
we're each hearing each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's the best.
Yeah,
you gotta have it unplanned.
I came in on the intro and you didn't complete your intro, so just complete your intro.
Okay, this is episode number 14 of the Casual Observers. And this week we are talking about something very specific, a little different, not as abstract. We're talking about colonizing other planets. We're going to talk about everything. We're talking about the scientific aspects of it. We're going to talk about the feasibility of it. We're going to talk about the ethics of it. The philosophy of it. Okay? So, originally I just thought, now the ethics sort of and the philosophy behind it is what I want to talk about first, because we can we're going to get into the weeds a little bit about the technical aspect of what this all entails, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, but first off, let's talk more generally just about planetary colonization and whatnot. So, because at first I assumed like, oh yeah, colonization, planetary colonization, yeah, of course, why not?
Right. And that's the boat I'm in right now. When you said this topic idea, I was like, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it seems like there's no...
Right.
It seems like there's nothing, there's no reason not to,
Good episode. Right? See you later.
Unless you can think of something.
I mean, not really. What are the downsides here? Like destroying other planets or something? But
well, yeah, basically, potentially.
That's it? Like
no. There's lots of repercussions. Okay.
Okay.
So like, at this stage, if we were to colonize another planet, there's a lot of things we wouldn't know about the planet that we were going to.
Right.
There's quite a few things.
Okay.
So we could potentially be messing up whatever's going on over there, potentially.
Okay. What would we mess up?
Give like if there's any life happening over there.
Okay.
Secondly, you need... Well, we'll get into this later, but pretty much there need to be some terraforming going on, which means kind of the destruction of some aspect of what's going on this other planet.
Right.
Which maybe that in itself is like, oh, we're messing with nature and whatnot, you know?
Well, I think that's not really an issue, though, because we already do that on Earth. It's like, in order to survive, we need to do this, so our survival is more important than preserving nature. There you go. Answered that question. Done.
You could make that argument.
I just did make that argument.
But then, yeah, you've also got... There's also this question as to, like, terraforming, what repercussions could that have, like, across the solar system?
Right.
Because we just don't know. Because we just can't observe anything.
Are you saying it could, like, mess up, like, the gravitational pulls or something if we've messed up certain environments or something?
Maybe so.
That seems pretty out there because
but it's possible.
We're on Earth and we've been messing up Earth and nothing's changed.
Well,
global warming, I guess.
But see, the thing is, like,
on a planetary
Most
scale.
of that stuff already happens naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're like artificially amplifying it.
Right?
Like greenhouse gases already exist.
Right.
We just put more greenhouse, so that
Right.
that process is already in effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or basically anything else that we do, and they have been for several thousand years on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what the repercussions could be for potentially drastically changing the environment of some other planet in our
Right.
solar system. What do you think of that?
I mean, I don't think. Okay, so let's get into it. Like, if we were to talk serious about it right now, we're talking Mars, right? Mars is like where we would start.
Yeah, I was gonna get there later, but yeah.
Okay,
If you
so
want to use that as an
we
example.
would, if we were terramorphing, is that the word you're using?
Terraforming.
Terramorphing, whatever.
Seems like those meanings would be similar.
I think they are similar. So if we were to terraform Mars, how would we get into it? We would have to bring oxygen there, obviously, and like.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Well, what would be like? What are you saying we would do to the planet to change it? We would have to like bring plants and stuff, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm. There'd be a lot.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so we'll get into that later. But the second point here is, as some people say, it's some kind of a necessity that we need to leave the planet. Like some people say, like within 200 years, we're gonna have to find a new planet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or there's different estimates, but I've heard somewhere in the range of 200 years, right?
Seems a pretty wacky estimate. I would think somewhere more like 1,000 at least.
1,000, dude.
Yeah.
Have you looked at climate change models recently?
I can't say that I have.
Okay. Well, basically, even if we stopped all pollution right now,
Mm-hmm.
the Earth would still be screwed.
We talked about this in the environmentalism episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's screwed within 200 years.
Yes, it's within that time. All of them, that's like the longest estimate.
So in 200 years, we're screwed no matter what. You're saying doomsday is going to happen in 200 years.
We're talking several crucial environmental functions will be screwed up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go with this since you know what you're talking about and I don't.
Okay. Well, obviously these models calculate for different things, so some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, but they're all within that span of 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the longest. That's like the long estimate.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, basically going off that, do we as humans, do we have the right to go to another planet because we couldn't manage this one right? Because you could make the case that we could just manage these resources more efficiently.
Right.
And potentially.
I mean,
not.
So are you saying that we should like right now try to fix Earth instead of going to another planet?
Well, I'm just saying.
Because you're saying we can't fix Earth either.
With current technologies, I mean, who knows? But at some point, if you're looking at like Earth's, the Earth's processes shutting down or, becoming kind of extreme environments for humans to live in,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to start divvying out resources in terms of where are you going to invest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna try to transform our own environment to better suit our needs,
Mm-hmm.
or are we gonna take those resources and put them into?
It seems more logical to bring them to another planet. Like, while it's more difficult to do, the fresh like slate that it gives us is way. It's like if you're formatting a hard drive. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work. You gotta back up all your data, move it somewhere else and stuff, and then go through Windows 7 or whatever and do all the formatting and then reinstall Windows 7 and move all your stuff back. It's a lot of work, but it's much better for your computer to keep formatting than to try to clean up what's on it. I think that's a really good analogy, actually. Because we'll never be able to completely clean up Earth to the way that we want it to be. Whereas another planet or a freshly formatted hard drive.
Well, you won't necessarily be able to do everything you want to do on that planet either.
Right, but I mean, it's not going to be as screwed up as Earth is right now.
There's nothing to say that because
I mean,
there's no reason to think
Earth compared to Mars right now, how about Earth has like locations that are like were sites of nuclear testing and are completely useless and ruined forever. Or at least for a very, very long period of time.
Well, now you're talking about the viability of planets, so I guess we'll just go ahead and get into that. And I'll tell you why.
We should get into something, because you're picking out topics and telling us all the topics and not getting into anything. So let's go.
Yeah, we're talking about the ethics here.
I mean,
Talking about the philosophical questions.
well, it branches into
recalling.
it. We should, like, okay. There's really, I don't think there's any ethics to it, because, one, we don't know for sure that there's other, oh, sorry, are people sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know, I'm sorry. Okay, one, for sure, we don't know that other life is out there, right?
Right.
We have no evidence of aliens, right?
We might have some microbes.
Okay, but we talked about that in the alien episode. So there's no like morals or laws or anything outside the solar system. The only thing that matters to humans, the most important thing, is survival.
At any cost?
I think so, yeah.
Like the cost of babies?
Babies are important to our survival. Are you saying we have
Yeah, but
a
I'm talking about-
baby-fueled plane
That's
or
what
a
I'm-
ship?
That's what I'm talking about. Let's say,
We grind up babies.
let's say like you have to kill like 5 kids in order to survive. Do you do that?
In order for just me to survive?
Yeah.
Well, that's the moral question of like 5 lives is worth more than 1, and babies' lives are worth more
Yeah,
than 1.
what do you do in that situation?
Well, you let the babies. I mean, right?
I
What do
don't-
I
there's no right
personally
answer.
do?
Yeah.
I'm selfish. I'll just let the babies die.
No. It's not that kind of situation. You have to manually kill them.
No, I'm too lazy to manually kill them. And if I have to manually kill them, then I die.
You have to give them a shot. You have to give 5 shots. Or you can give yourself 1 shot. Or you can give yourself 5 shots. So it's the exact same amount of work.
Okay, that's interesting. Wait, then I just wouldn't give anyone any shots.
Well, then you all die.
What's the scenario? What's gonna make us all die?
The oxygen is running out.
This is terrible.
You've only got enough oxygen for 5 babies or 1 human.
Oh, okay. So we have oxygen that we're gonna shoot into our bloodstream.
No. It's in the cabin. It's in the cabin.
Oh, okay. Well, babies can't save themselves or do anything anymore anyway, so in that scenario, I still save myself.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
We're in a cabin where the oxygen is running out?
In a spaceship cabin, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not just gonna leave these babies alone.
No, you're entering an atmosphere.
Uh-huh.
You're entering Earth's atmosphere,
Uh-huh.
but your oxygen was leaking. It's really low.
The babies can't land that ship?
No, it's all on autopilot. And you've only got enough air for 5 babies or 1 adult to have enough air to make it into the atmosphere to refuel on air.
Geez, in that scenario, the whole world's probably watching you come in, and if you get to the Earth and then they're like, hey, so what happened to the babies? In that scenario, you just let the babies live. That's a really... I just poked like 10 holes into your scenario. But
It was an airtight scenario.
yeah, definitely.
That's the last one's not a hole. That's just your own moral code kicking in.
Well, no, it's more
Which is basically
like
people's perception of you.
6.5 billion people judging me for killing babies, and I'd be like, yeah, I'd rather not live with that. Like if killing the babies isn't the issue, is that like they would all see that I killed the babies and they would be like, why'd you kill yourself there, buddy?
Yeah, because that's 5 lives times however many years they live versus 1 life.
Potential lives, though.
Yeah, as far as you know, they're going to grow up to live an average age of 70.
I mean, yeah, but they could all have IQs of like 39 and we just don't know it.
So they could have the opposite. They could be at the opposite end also.
Yes, they could. But I,
You
for a fact,
already know.
know.
You already know your utility.
Yeah, I know my utility, and I know it's pretty good. So.
Yeah, you're an astronaut.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're.
Exactly. So.
Oh no, this is in the future. So space travel is like a normal thing. So you're just a normal guy. You're a pizza. You're an interplanetary pizza delivery man.
Okay, but I have above average IQ, and so if I were So if I were to compare myself to babies, I guess I would have to take the statistics of it.
Their collective IQ is definitely greater than yours, though, or will be.
Yeah, but if you take like 5 people with the IQ of 10, does that make them as smart as?
But you gotta play the odds that they're gonna have average IQs.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sure.
Or at least 3 will have average IQs. 1 will have above average. 1 will have below average.
Okay, sure. This scenario is stupid. What? I don't even remember why we brought this up.
Okay, so let's talk about
it's because the morals of going to another planet.
Yeah, you're like, survival is the best.
Yeah, survival for humans is the most important thing. Like, if we don't survive, if we were to just cease to exist, what's the importance of the planets anyways? If we just cease to exist, the planets don't exist to us anymore anyways, so...
That's a good point.
So, there's no reason not to go to other planets.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
Assuming...
I thought of that myself.
Assuming there's no life anywhere else on those planets, right?
But we have no proof, so we have to assume that. When it's such a high-risk, high-reward situation.
You have to? Okay, I
guess
so.
You would have to.
Well, there's definitely no sentient life.
Well...
We would know if there was sentient life over there, right?
On the planet?
Yeah.
Well, I think the moral question is more of like maybe like the whole universe or something, because like, who are we to destroy the universe for these other aliens or whatever? But we don't know that they exist, so.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of this situation. So first of all, we gotta pick a planet.
Mars.
Well, Mars is by no means the best suited for life.
Nope.
But it's the only one that we could actually get to in time that's close enough for us to actually do anything. There's a couple really great planets out there. There's
But they're all like billions of light years
they're like
away
in other
whatever.
solar systems, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Kepler 188, I think, is a planet that has like very similar.
Assumed to have very similar based on its location from its star and its solar system and everything.
Yeah, it's within the life zone of the solar system.
Yeah.
The star that it orbits is like it's like 80% of the size of our sun.
Seems good.
Yeah, it's great if we can only get there.
Alright. Teleportation. That'll be enough.
Yeah, when? Why? Gosh,
teleportation is complicated. It's possible, but complicated.
Yeah, and here's the real question. Would you actually be transporting the exact same
Yes, we've talked about this before.
Or would you just be copying?
Yeah, and then the old one dies off.
Would you be copying and destroying?
Which is a very creepy thing, and I don't know if I would ever want to even go through with it, just because that thought is so terrifying.
Did you hear about that short film?
I think you told me
about it.
Yeah.
Where like this guy, he's like on this interplanetary bus station. It's like a bus stop where like people come there, and then he like teleports you to other planets, right?
Right.
And something messes up, and this lady, she
goes
through the process, but she's still there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, what the heck? And then like the corporate guys come down and they're like, hey, look, we gotta kill this woman. This happens like 1 in a million times, but basically she actually is over there, and this is like her original self that's still here.
So creepy.
Yeah, that's essentially also the same theory behind the singularity. Like if you were to transfer consciousness into like some kind of a machine.
Oh yeah.
You're not actually transferring your consciousness. You're just copying it into there, and you're actually dying.
Actually transferring it, you would have to just keep the brain alive and keep the brain going, I think.
Yeah.
Because the way they talk about it is like transferring it like onto a hard drive or something, and
which is essentially like a clone of your consciousness.
Yeah, and data can't be actually transferred like that yet.
2040. That's the year.
Yep.
Ray Kurzweil said it. Okay, anyway, so basically there's a few other planets, and we just recently found a few, or at least that's what it was on the front page of Reddit. Have you seen this?
You told me about them.
Okay, there was a few. One's Kepler, one of them's a moon, like Saturn, that's mostly water, but I think it's like roughly it's like a little bit bigger than our moon, but it's got about approximately the same amount of water as Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Liquid water, or actually, I don't know if it's liquid. That's a good question. But anyway, yeah.
Not relevant, really.
Yeah, not relevant, really.
We can control temperatures pretty well.
What?
We can control temperatures pretty well.
Oh yeah, I guess that's
like
true.
if it was like steam, we would be able to get away to cool it enough to use it for drinking and stuff. And if it was frozen, we definitely can heat up ice and.
True.
We can't
speaking of ice,
we can't control the temperature of the whole planet, but we
Right.
can do on a smaller scale.
All right, so Mars is really the only feasible option we have at this point. And then if we could get a settled station, we could use that to kind of branch out and explore a little bit farther. But okay, let's talk about first of all getting there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do we have the technology to get there?
Yes.
I think we do, if I'm not mistaken, because there are rovers.
Like
that are there. There's like
Curiosity got sent there like perfectly. Like there was like nothing wrong with that.
There's currently
it was very
6.
complicated, but they did it.
There's currently 6 observational crafts.
Are the old ones like still running? Like
There's
the little
like-
ones that are like boxes and stuff?
I don't know. I think there's like 4 satellites and like 2 like land vehicles.
Hmm.
If I'm not.
They should like have a meetup. They should like have a birthday party or something together. Like travel across the whole planet and meet each other.
Dude, I think I heard Curiosity is like programmed to sing Happy Birthday to itself.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Which is like a weird.
Yeah, it's singing it to itself when no one else is around. But we don't actually know if it's singing it to itself because we can't hear it or anything. But what the heck?
Is that your phone?
Oh, that was my phone.
Okay, so getting there, and I think at the current speed that we can travel, it would take like 6 years to get there.
Okay, which isn't that bad.
It's not that bad. Also,
Well, we have the people signed up for the one-way trip to Mars.
Also, that's still our point. We do not have the technology to get back.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you were to go out there right now.
The reason we don't is the fuel, really. Like the fuel needed to get to bring the fuel there and the fuel back.
That's
right?
only one
It's
problem.
like exponentially increases the weight and everything and causes so many issues.
Well, that's only one problem.
What's the other problems?
Well, your shuttle, you throw that shuttle off.
Right.
That actually gets you out of the atmosphere.
Right.
And stuff. So you'd actually.
How did we return from the moon?
Hmm?
How did we return from the moon?
We had a second one.
They had like 2 shuttles.
Yeah, with enough fuel to jettison back.
Okay, so we would
And
just
the moon
need
was different because the gravity is a lot less, so it's and there's no atmosphere, so it's a lot easier to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a different story. Mars is roughly the same size. It's like 88% the size of Earth, I think, or something like that.
Right. And so we'd have to go through all the same stuff that we go through on Earth to
It's very
launch
similar,
a ship. Yeah.
It does have, it's less gravity, and it's got a really thin atmosphere, so it's slightly easier, but it's so far away that you still...
So what we would do then is send some people, basically get a space station over there first, and that way we can have a return trip eventually.
Well, I mean, a space station is like millions of dollars of resources.
Right.
That you'd have to... It's not the money, it's getting it over there.
Right,
Because you're talking about 6 years. How do you get millions of dollars worth of equipment?
Right. It would end
on a
up in
6-year journey.
Dude, it would end up being like billions because you would have to send multiple things. Like it wouldn't
yeah,
just be one ship.
You'd have to send buttload. Yeah, you'd have to send a ship with people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have to constantly be jettisoning them supplies.
Like
because they're going to be
food and resources, but also resources to build what they need to build and everything. And There's so much.
The logistics of it is like a nightmare right now. I mean,
especially since we don't really have like a world united space thing going on.
We have an international space station.
Okay, but we're not like, we don't have multiple countries like coming together to fund one set project and stuff.
I think we do. I think we have a UN
that's
Council on Space Exploration.
The whole reason we have like SpaceX and stuff is because NASA like stopped sending shuttles or something, right? Isn't SpaceX the ones that are like funding everything?
No, I believe they're getting international funding. But yeah, SpaceX, that's Elon Musk's company. He was going to make that no matter what.
Right.
I think he just wanted to. He's just a smart dude.
I have no idea. I thought, weren't they the ones that were gonna set up the one-way trip to Mars?
I'm sure they were going to be part of it. Like, there's so few companies that are doing. Oh, there was this guy at my job. He used to work. He got laid. He was a NASA contractor, and he said that they sent out a bulletin about like asking people who would be willing to do this.
Right.
And this was like in like 2011.
Dude, they announced that like on the internet like a couple years ago. The one-way trip to Mars, and they said if you can do this, 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 and this, send us your video. Did you not see that?
Oh yeah. Well, just recently I saw like a parody video of like failed submissions, like rejected people with their videotapes.
I'm sure there were plenty of people that were like rednecks or something trying. Yeah.
Oh, rednecks trying to get to the red planet.
Like it's a really cool idea, but like there were a lot of requirements and stuff needed of those people.
Yeah, why would they send out a bulletin? It seems like you would need, like, the requirements would be so specific that you'd probably be pretty easy to track down these people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's
instead
again,
of essentially
because
making a Facebook
it's all
thread.
one-way trip, so they have to like volunteer, I guess, or something. But
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the massive amounts of qualifications. It seems like surely there's like a list of really smart people that they can just look at.
Well, I'm sure there were a list of people that they went and like asked them, but there's got to be at least like several thousand who meet those qualifications because they're going to be training them and stuff too. So it's not like they need all the specifications right now, you're leaving right now. Like they need like some degrees and stuff, and then it's like, okay, we're going to train you for a couple of years or whatever.
Right, because very few people actually know how to fly a spaceship right now.
Yeah.
But it just seems like
That's a weird thought.
What?
How many people on the planet right now know how to fly an actual like space shuttle?
Well, I don't know. Probably a few dozen. There's not very many people that need to.
Right, exactly.
So,
that's such a. If you're one of those people, you could be like, holy crap.
But
like,
I don't think. It's nothing like flying an airplane, like that kind of training.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sure it's very specific, and you need a certain number of people.
Right.
And to do very specific things.
I don't know. I don't work for NASA or anything.
You know what I mean?
Couldn't verify.
Like you would need like at least like I don't know, maybe it's like 6 people, let's just say.
Well, yeah.
And none of them is actually doing the flying per se. They have a specific job of just this one area.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That they're going to specialize in,
mm-hmm.
and they know all about this section of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm pretty sure those are all navigated, like.
Let's continue.
Computer navigated.
Are they? I guess they'd have to be, yeah.
There's no way there's somebody with.
Yeah, they always portray that in like
area.
movies and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's.
There's no way.
Like if you were like, I brought up the curiosity thing. Like if like the dimensions of everything and like the timing of everything when they had to like land Curiosity. Like I don't remember all the details, but if you looked into it, it was so like specific. It was gonna be like a miracle to get that thing landed perfectly, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's somebody like making course corrections.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have like a joystick in their hand. They're like punching in equations and like dimensions and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, so yeah, getting there. Big problem. Setting up a colony, super hard. Like just insanely hard. So you got to get people over there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to constantly send them supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Like just sustenance supplies. Mm-hmm. Food. Air.
Mm-hmm.
Shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, is there a way to... So, Mars, here's one of the big problems with living on Mars. It's like 95% carbon dioxide, the atmosphere. And it's less than 1% oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Which carbon dioxide is oxygen. It's carbon and oxygen.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I don't. I had a 0 in chemistry, but continue.
Like the chemical formula for carbon dioxide is
Okay, I get you.
carbon, CO2.
I get you. Okay.
So it's one
I
carbon,
get it,
2 oxygen.
yes!
So you'd have to have something like...
You're gonna keep looking at me weird like that?
You'd have to have something... Can we turn carbon dioxide into oxygen? I mean, that's what plants do.
That's what plants do.
But I mean...
Plants do it for us.
Yeah. So could you send plants up there and set up like a nursery?
There's like a reason we haven't, right? Like there's got to be something preventing us from doing that, because that seems like a really simple solution otherwise. Like,
well, dude, doing anything over there is like from here is just not easy.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. First of all.
Okay, so let's go through more problems with this, and then y'all see if one of those problems doesn't address why we're not doing it.
Okay.
So you've got very limited. You've got almost no oxygen, like breathable oxygen. It's
right.
Any oxygen is in the form of CO2 mostly. Okay, most of the water is frozen at the polar caps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you would need to be melting that to actually get it. And there's a lot of it is frozen in soil, permafrost.
Right.
So it's not like ice chunks. It's like basically frozen mud.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that also complicates how you're going to get it, extract it, and make it drinkable, filter it out. Second of all, it does not have the Earth's magnetic resonance or whatever.
Okay.
So basically none of the UV radiation is being filtered out.
Oh boy.
So you need constant protection from that.
Right.
Okay. Also the sun it's farther away from the sun than Earth, so it's only getting less sunlight. Okay.
Right.
Now, one of the good things is it has a similar.
If it's getting less sunlight, then it's getting less UV rays too, though.
Well, UV rays are radiation, so I think those are.
They come from the sun, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
they're getting less, but not like the atmosphere still can't protect you enough.
I think it's netting more though than Earth.
Because of the atmosphere, yeah.
Well, because of the magnetic pull of the poles or whatever. That's what blocks out UV radiation.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's magnetism that's like bending it around the Earth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Another thing, the gravity is like 80% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's health problems associated. You got to be either working out or have some kind of thing going on. What do you think?
There's a lot of issues.
There's a lot of issues there. So basically, you would need, at least for a time, you would need a lot of oxygen with you just to be there. Second of all,
you need to be in a suit the whole time.
You need to be in you could potentially maybe be underground. Potentially. Then you have no light and you need electricity. So you're talking...
That's more complicated.
You're talking maybe solar panels or something underground or something.
Right.
Second of all, you've got... also, there is the CO2 levels. Atmospheric pressure. Mm-hmm. Because the atmosphere is so thin, it's below the atmospheric pressure for you to be out there. So even if you had enough oxygen and you had UV protection,
right,
you wouldn't be able to walk around without a spacesuit.
See, that's what I was thinking the issue with the plants would have been the pressure. Because there's a reason we haven't done that yet. Like, obviously plants need water and stuff too, but I think the pressure on the plants would be an issue too.
Yeah, well the issue is it's either too much or not enough, I can't remember.
Okay, well.
But atmospheric pressure is measured in, I forget what it's measured in, but basically there's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's too much, I can't remember.
Either way, it's not right.
But yeah, you need pressure on your body because the atmospheric pressure isn't enough to keep you together. UV protection, oxygen, potentially more gravity or some sort of form of muscular resistance.
Right. So all these issues.
Just to name a few.
So what conclusion are you getting at here? That we just shouldn't do it, or we can't do it now? Or
No,
what
I'm just talking. I'm just talking through the issues here.
So there's a lot of issues, and it sounds like we can't do it yet.
Well, let's talk about it.
Okay. What do you got there on your phone, Jose?
Well, let's talk through the issues. First of all, oxygen. This is obviously the most important thing.
Plants would have to be our solution to the oxygen. Well, they're the most obvious solution. I don't know if they're the correct solution.
Do you know if they're feasible? Is that feasible?
Well, again, I think the pressure thing, like, I mean, we can look that up. Why don't...
Martian days are just about 40 minutes longer than an Earth day.
That's not an issue.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the soil. I don't know if the soil has the right nutrients and stuff.
Yeah, so basically plants cannot grow in the ambient conditions on Mars, okay? Surface gravity is 38% of the Earth's.
Jeez.
Yeah, so you're talking extremely low resistance.
I mean, it's not that low. Like, we could still live there, but
No, but I'm
some
talking
issues
about
there.
no long term. You're talking about some serious health risks.
What are the health risks of low
Microgravity can cause such health problems as muscle loss and bone dematerialization.
Jeez.
It is not known if Martian gravity would have a similar effect. So, there you go. Oh, I forgot about this. Temperature. Mars is much colder than Earth with a mean surface temperature of between, get this, negative 124 degrees Fahrenheit to 23 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's not that bad. That's doable.
That's pretty. It's basically like Antarctica constantly.
Right. But I mean, it's doable is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
It's not great, but it's doable
yeah.
with technology we have right now. It's not like some of the other issues.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because if you're going to be in pressurized suits, well, no, that poses a problem because even if you're pumping oxygen into a suit, that oxygen is going to be seriously cold.
That's true.
You'd have to constantly have heating on you.
Well, I mean, I assume there's like, it has the same like heating proportion and stuff that Earth does. Like there's is the center, like the equator or whatever, hotter?
Oh, yeah, because it's got a similar
So
tilt.
then we would start in like the more warm areas.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that's the best fit to do whatever we need.
Because I mean, even like in just like some northern countries like Canada and stuff, it gets to like, you know, like negative 40 or something, like during winter sometimes. So if during the hotter areas, it ranges from like 23 degrees.
See, the hottest it could possibly get is 23 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. So if it was.
So you're talking about summers. You're talking about summers at the equator.
Right. So if the equator ranged from like about negative 40 to 23, that's pretty reasonable.
Okay.
I mean, because that's like the temperature range of. I mean, like here in Texas, we range from about like 30 to like 110. So that's like about 80 degrees. It's about 63 degrees.
Yeah, so this is not a big issue.
Yeah.
Not huge. Surface, like I said, surface water is not. It's going to be really hard to find.
It exists, but it's under the surface technically.
There may be some small pockets of actually semi-drinkable water, but only under very certain
Well,
conditions.
it would all be obviously all frozen, right? Because if it's that cold all the time, all water is going to be frozen. Because that's below the freezing point of water. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like not frozen in things, or frozen with other chemicals and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like actual just H2O, like not in permafrost or frozen with like nitrogen and stuff.
I mean,
Because at these temperatures, there's a lot of dry ice, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which
Right.
is, there's some water in there, but there's also
Right.
frozen carbon in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another issue. Because Mars is approximately 52% further from the sun, the amount of solar energy entering the upper atmosphere per unit area is only around 43% of what reaches Earth's upper atmosphere.
Jeez.
However, due to the much thinner atmosphere, the solar energy reaches the surface. So you're getting 43% of what comes to the Earth, but most of that, well, still basically 43%.
I mean, well, most of it on Earth is like deflected or like dealt with by our atmosphere, but the atmosphere on Mars is thin, and so what they're saying is they get it more.
Right, it actually reaches surface.
So that's like, do we have a percentage to make up for that? You don't have an actual number on that?
It's roughly 43%.
No,
Mars's
the
orbit
other way. Don't worry about it.
Mars's orbit is more eccentric than Earth's, increasing the temperature and solar constant variations. Due to the relative lack of a magnetosphere in combination with a thin atmosphere, less than 1% of Earth's, Mars has extreme amounts of ultraviolet radiation that would pose an ongoing and serious threat.
Ultraviolet, not violet.
Ultraviolet.
I know, you said ultraviolet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's violent too, but...
The atmospheric pressure on Mars is far below the Armstrong limit, at which people can survive without pressure suits. Since terraforming cannot be expected as a near-term solution, habitable structures on Mars would need to be constructed with pressure vessels similar to a spacecraft capable of containing a pressure between 30 and 100
That's a lot of issues.
kilo pressures. Yeah. The Martian atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide, 3% nitrogen, 1.6% argon, and traces of other gases, including oxygen. So less than 0.5% of the atmosphere is oxygen. Martian air has a partial pressure of CO2 this is what I was saying, yeah. So it has a partial pressure of CO2 of 7.71 kPa compared to Earth's 0.031 kPa on Earth, okay? So CO2 poisoning in humans begins at about 0.1, and Mars has 0.7.
About 7 times that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so even for plants, CO2 much above 1.5 is toxic. This means that Martian air is completely toxic to both plants and animals, even at the reduced pressure.
So this going to another planet thing, it's not very likely.
What were you thinking? This was going to be easy?
I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but this is like, we are lacking lots of technology.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we would need to actually do this.
We would need something to fix every single one of those solutions.
You mean problems?
Or problems, yeah. It's late at night, bro. Right.
Yeah, so let's talk about...
Like, the pressure, I don't even know how you fix the pressure.
Okay, basically, you would never be able to walk out in the open.
Right.
Let's talk about what you need.
Is there a way to fix pressure?
Atmospheric pressure?
Yeah. Is there a way to change that? Like, what determines that?
I think the atmospheric pressure is determined by... So, like, the thickness of the atmosphere is determined by the gravitation on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's what's keeping the atmosphere in.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
And so if there's less gravity, so there's less, yeah.
Yeah,
gotcha.
which Mars has like, what was it, 38% of our
38%,
gravity?
yeah.
So you're talking about 38% of the atmosphere. So I don't know if that could ever be resolved. Unless we somehow master gravity.
I mean, we could add more gravity there by adding more mass, technically, but the mass needed to send there. Like, that's really far-stretched, but technically we could add more mass. The mass that we could add would probably be so minuscule that doesn't change anything, though.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So, you need let's say we could construct a vessel, like maybe the size of a football field, and then put that underground, and then channel oxygen into that.
Getting it underground, first of all, would be a huge issue.
Okay, we build it underground.
So we send people there.
Yeah.
We continually send them supplies to dig up the space needed. Then we send them all the supplies and resources they need to build it.
All their construction tools are electric.
So all the batteries and generators and stuff they need.
And they use solar power.
The solar power, is the solar power, like, could we bring solar panels there and it would be better because more sun reaches there?
I don't know if it would be better, but you would be getting sunlight.
Okay, so
first of all, you'd set up solar farms.
Right.
That's the first thing you need, because in order to build, you're going to need power.
Okay, so
we're not sending diesel fuel up there.
Yeah, probably not. So we need solar panels, which the technology on that isn't perfected yet. Solar panels it's not very great.
It's not great. But we do have solar farms. Have you seen those with mirrors?
I have not.
It's like one big like pillar with like solar panels all around it, and then there's a buttload of mirrors that they shift as the day goes by, and they point the sunlight to this.
That's pretty cool.
The tower. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some sunlight that's lost when it hits the mirror and stuff, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's more than that would just then. It's
right.
It's better, and it's like cheaper than putting.
Because we have we have it all throughout the day, as opposed to or at least half the day, as opposed to.
Well, no, it's cheaper than covering all that area with solar panels.
Right.
That would be kind of inefficient in terms of cost.
Right, because of the angle of the pillar and everything in the mirror. Yes, I get you.
So, first things first, you construct that there, and you've got unlimited. You kind of got unlimited space.
Okay. Which the space is. First of all, I assume there's like a plan and stuff, so the space is kind of irrelevant because really you need the space needed to just set up that bunker or whatever underground. So you need the manpower. After you have the energy.
First, you gotta get the solar panels up.
Right.
The solar farm up and running.
Still sending resources over and over during that whole period.
Oh no! Actually, you would need to send a small, like thing that can turn CO2 into just O2.
Why?
Because then you don't have to constantly send oxygen up there.
Right, but we don't have that right now, do we? Or if we do, it's something like really, really expensive, isn't it? Because I think I heard about that in chemistry class or something. Like we have the technology, but it's crazy inefficient or something, right?
It's just a chemical process, so I don't see why not.
You're separating chemicals from each other, though. It's a big difference, I think.
New way to make oxygen doesn't need plants.
Scientists turn carbon dioxide into oxygen by zapping it with a laser.
There you
go.
go.
The same website.
So
yeah, but isn't it like really inefficient or something? Let's just assume that we can do that. Let's assume we get a machine that's
doesn't matter how inefficient it is. We got unlimited sunlight.
No, but like time constraints and stuff too.
Oh, here's the thing. Also,
like, is it going to produce enough oxygen for all the people there at like a higher rate than they're breathing it in? That's what it needs to do. Is my point.
Well, whether it is or isn't, let's just say it's offsetting the amount of oxygen we need to send to them.
Okay, just by like a tiny bit or something.
Well, who knows how much it'll be.
If it's efficient. Otherwise, we just send them oxygen. It's not that big of a deal.
It doesn't need to be...
Because we're sending other care packages.
It doesn't need to be necessarily energy efficient because you can set up the infrastructure to make as much energy basically as you need.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean...
because here's what you could do.
It's time efficiency, not energy efficiency is what I'm worried about.
Oh, yeah, well, you just zap it with a laser. It turns into oxygen.
It's not that simple, I don't think.
It's pretty easy. But what you also could do is you could have the astronauts travel to opposite ends of the sphere on the equator. So you could be harvesting sunlight on both sides of the planet.
Okay. Well, this is gonna need a lot of people then. Because, first of all, no. They can't go to the poles because it's too cold at the poles.
Not the poles, on the equator, but opposite
Oh, the
ends.
other ends of the equator. Okay, sure. Yeah, that
You see
makes
what I'm
sense. Right.
So you could be harvesting, and then they just channel that to a central location.
Okay, sure. That makes sense.
There you go. So then you've got the energy. Now you need, like, bulldozers and, like, what are those things that dig?
I don't know.
Digging machines.
Dig dozers or something.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay.
So then you
Nice
need to,
alliteration.
yeah. So then we'd have to tunnel underground.
Mm-hmm.
So we.
I'd assume we'd get like.
Do you think it's more efficient to be underground so you don't have to be afraid of the UV radiation, but then you need constant light? Oh, no, even better. I got
No,
it.
we just cover the surface in those like solar pillars.
With UV sunglasses? Just with UV sunglass protection?
Like, you were saying we have one pillar on each side of the equator. Well, eventually, once we get the bunker and stuff, it would be most efficient to stay underground and then cover the surface with those pillars. And those pillars would provide us with the energy needed to have the light underground.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah,
what I'm talking about our underground city that we're building.
Right? What's wrong with it? I
I'm
like
saying-
it so far.
So,
Can we give a name to the city?
the city, we'll call it Mars Colony 1.
That's a bad name. Okay.
MC1.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, acronyms are always better.
Yeah, they are.
Alright, so then we use the electricity to burrow underground. And here's what I'm thinking. You could actually you could have each sort of building per se that's underground completely, but then you could have the throughways above ground.
It's not efficient?
Because then you don't have to burrow
Mm-hmm.
to connect all these places together,
Right?
and you could just make that out of some opaque material.
But
It's
why
pressurized.
why don't we just do that on the surface too though? Why aren't the buildings and stuff just already on the surface at that point? Like if we can just create all the buildings out of the opaque material, then there's no issue. Because we wouldn't have windows or anything underground either, so
That's a great idea.
why isn't it all just like opaque on the surface?
I don't know. Actually, we could just have UV window tint.
It's the pressure that's the issue, right? So isn't underground what the pressure fixer? I thought that was the whole point of going underground.
I don't think so.
How do we fix the pressure?
Y-
Like the
you-
buildings are pressurized contained?
Yeah, I mean
Like
you're
pressure
you're pumping oxygen that's being separated by our oxygen machine. And yeah, the building.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you need like pressure on like some sort of force acting on it, but the
Mhm.
building itself, when you initially pump the air into it,
Mm-hmm.
that would need to be under pressure. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So it'd be an airtight building,
Right.
and initially you would just build it, and there would be the same.
How do we get the oxygen from outside to inside? It's got to be like a transfer, like it's
What do
got
you
to
mean?
go through like because okay,
The oxygen
once we
goes
get
through the CO2 machine, the converter.
right, and that's like sitting on the edge of the surface, leading down to our bunker. Once
Well,
we're
now-
already in the bunker is what
Well,
I'm saying.
now I'm thinking it's above ground. It's just opaque material.
Okay. So there's no reason to go underground.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Or maybe slightly, I don't know.
We had a reason for being underground. I forget what it was.
That was the UV thing. That was my reason.
So yeah, but we're never gonna have windows or anything. There's no way. It's all just gonna be opaque all the time.
Well, you'd have certain windows. I mean, obviously, like your helmets and your spacesuits would be made out of some sort of UV filtering
Right.
glass. So you could have windows that's
I
made out of that
guess,
same
yeah.
material.
And the only time you'd be able to actually go outside though is in a suit too.
Yeah, which once you get these buildings established, it'd be a lot easier to go outside because you'd have a base to get things ready, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a work area.
Again, at this point, we're talking like hundreds of billions of dollars. So, probably more than that.
Yeah.
Probably like hundreds of trillions.
By the time we get to
like
bunkers,
hundreds of trillions, probably.
Yeah, we're talking, in the trillions at least, yeah.
Like way beyond the trillions, I think, though.
Well, it just depends on how many bunkers we've got, how big our solar farms were.
Right.
Initially.
But all the technology, like the machine that turns carbon dioxide into oxygen.
We've already got that. It's already made.
It's not efficient enough, I'm telling you. If we had the machine that's efficient... You don't want to look it up, but...
What?
Look, dude.
We already looked it up. You know how it works. It shoots it with a laser.
Yeah, but it's not efficient enough, is what I'm saying. You want it to be, and it's not.
How efficient? You don't know how efficient it needs to be, so you don't even know if
it needs to be. It needs to be efficient enough to produce oxygen enough to reduce having us to send oxygen to the planet.
Right, which you don't know how much the planet needs.
We
haven't said how many people are on it or how much oxygen.
At first, I assume we send like one group of like 10 people. And then we send them resources, and then we send them solar panels, and we say, connect these and set all this up and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How much oxygen do 10 people need?
Calculate the rate that they breathe it in, and then calculate the rate that the machine poops it out.
So you're saying you don't know?
No, I don't.
So you don't know if the machine is efficient enough because you don't know how much it actually would need.
That's what I'm saying, though. I'm pretty sure we don't have a machine efficient enough, so I'm looking it up. Jeez. Your argument is terrible.
My argument, your argument is based off of wild assumptions.
You're being too optimistic here.
Well, it's a moot point because we can just send them oxygen.
Right.
Which we're gonna do anyway, regardless of if they have a machine.
Until they get the machine, until they get a bunker set up, and we can't keep sending them oxygen. Because once we get a city there, we need the machine to. But it doesn't matter. The only reason we're bringing up the machine is talking about the money needed to provide all this, which is going to be a ridiculous amount.
Well, dude, regardless of if they have a machine, we're going to need to keep sending them oxygen as a backup because they need a contingency if for some reason the machine breaks down.
Right.
Because they're not going to... We can't be like, oh, yeah...
Just hold your breath while you screw this thing in.
Yeah. No, can't do that.
Right.
So anyway, after you've got these bunkers set up, that is basically the first seedlings of your city.
Maybe we should just, once we get this thing going, we should just turn Earth into an oxygen farm. Like,
dude, if you colonize another planet, there's still going to be people on Earth.
Right, but
not everyone's going to go.
But what I'm saying is, like, once we have, like, Mars all the way, like, set up and stuff, we should just, like, we don't need all these like office buildings or whatever in these big cities and stuff. We could turn it into an oxygen farm and use it as an oxygen farm for when we move on to other planets and stuff. So we always have like just a giant planet of plants feeding us oxygen.
Okay, so you're talking about having...
I'm talking like way in the future once we have multiple planets. We need something to keep producing spare oxygen.
I think there'd still be like an economy and stuff on Earth and like needs that need to be met there.
I think Earth is really destroyed though, and it's kind of...
Well, to think about it, if we leave in time, the population might dwindle to the point of the few people that remain being able to really thrive here. You know what I mean?
Right. Well...
Plus, I think you're being too optimistic about how much oxygen we can farm
off of the
Earth.
If we start planting like all the trees and stuff that we've cut down over the years, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
like if we just cover the earth in plants and like farm buildings, which are like harvesting the oxygen.
Yeah, just assuming you have enough animals to produce the CO2 that they need.
Right.
Because the human population would be a lot.
You just keep a balance, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So once you've got the colony set up, once you've got your building set up, let's assume you've got enough energy to run your buildings.
Mm-hmm.
To oxygenate and power. Actually, the power just depends on what you're doing up there.
Right. We would eventually have to set up like basically a small Earth, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe we would all at that point have like one set goal and like one set job, since we could have like the people who sent these people to Mars and stuff, whoever funded it all and stuff, they technically have control over it all. Because they're like, look,
It's too much money for any one entity to.
Obviously, but the people who like, had a part in it, those would be the people. Like, it would have to be like a corporation with like tons of stock and stuff into it, right?
No, it's too much money. It's too much money for.
How would we do it? Would it have to be just like?
It'd be a collection of governments and companies.
Okay, but there would be.
You're talking about tax dollars.
There would be
You're talking about donations.
There would be some government there, right?
If you're talking about if you send up 10 people, are they going to set up a government?
No, once we already have the bunkers and stuff, there has to be some government ruling that what we do there. Like, they would decide, do we just let it be Earth, or do they decide we set it up like this way, and the way we.
Who's deciding this?
That's what I'm. Who's deciding to send all the people? You're arguing what?
It's a collective. It's a collective body.
Okay, so it's a collective decision. Someone has to decide. There has to be like a voting or something to decide what Mars is going to be used for. Because
I think it'll happen organically, like automatically.
I don't think so.
I think like because think about it. Even within the first 20 years, in the first 10 years of being there. Well, shoot. I don't know how long this is going to take to actually have a stable colony that can support itself.
A long time.
20 years?
I would say more like 100.
100 years?
I think so, dude.
You're talking about 2 generations.
Like, if we did it now, it
You're
would
talking
cost
about
like
kids and kids. There would have already be a government set up by that point.
Okay.
In 100 years, there would be a government set up.
Are we talking about doing this now, or like in the future when we have more technology? If we were to do it now...
We're talking about potential. We're talking about setting it up right now.
I think that would take like 100 years, dude. To get like a bunker that's like perfectly stable and everything, like we're talking. To have the solar pillars on each side of the equator, to have like...
And how many people can this place support? I mean, at first, if you're talking about 10 people, all those 10 people are going to have specific jobs that they do.
I was thinking it would be the size of like a big like office building. Like a skyscraper, but it would obviously be, like...
Right. So, okay, so let's say you start with 10 people, right?
Right.
Let's say there's men and women on there. They're going to have kids up there while they're working on this.
Well...
Let's say it takes 20 years.
They could be restricted to not, but...
But they could anyway. No one's stopping them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Plus, they're going to be up there indefinitely because we don't have a way to get them back.
Right.
So, they could be married couples as far as we know.
Okay.
So they're going to have kids up there.
Unless we make sure we only send gay people.
Let's say it's going to take at least 20 years to really get things going, right?
Mm-hmm.
20 years, you have a kid, you could have a teenager there. He's going to grow up there, he or she.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a job to do there, specifically for...
Right, but that's what I'm saying. The job is going to be dedicated to, like, the bunker and the survival and stuff.
There.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the Mars thing is, like,
that's what I'm saying. Every generation is going to be like that.
But would we ever get to a point where it's like, okay, we want, like, someone to be a musician here or something? Like
no, it would just
there wouldn't
happen.
be like free jobs, would there? Or could we decide that it would be more like
Eventually, it would have its own economy, but at first, for the first 100 years, everyone is just going to be working for that. It depends on.
Would it have its own economy? Like
it depends on the production output. Okay, this is what it comes down to: the production output of the colonies.
So we're talking self-sustaining at this point. We're not sending them any more resources.
When we get to that point, yes.
Okay.
When you get to that point, if it's putting out, it comes down to free time.
Okay.
Okay. If you have an 8-hour job, or there's enough people to have shifts, like 3 8-hour shifts,
right,
or whatever, you're gonna have people who have off time, and in that off time, they're gonna have recreation.
Right.
And that recreation is somebody's going to create some form of recreation. Maybe they'll pay for it. Probably.
How would the economy start?
Barter. Well, no. How are they going to barter? They all have to share their collective
Yeah, see,
resources.
that's why I was saying the self-sustaining thing. At first, they're obviously all just being, quote-unquote, paid by Earth sending them resources and stuff.
Yeah.
But then, once they're self-sustaining, like, what is there? Like, would there be money? Like, would they create if we have, like, a universal dollar or something, or would they create a Mars dollar? Like, what's the point of that if everyone's just working on the same stuff all the time? Like, okay, I guess once they become self-sustaining, we stop sending them things.
Yeah.
And so at that point, they do need to...
Assuming they're self-sustaining,
That's
there's gonna be extra materials flying around. There's gonna be things to do. There's gonna be things to make in their spare time.
Well, okay, they become
so
self-sustaining.
They could start trading.
And then they probably start, like, mining around them or something, right? Because if they're self-sustaining, they need, like...
Well, no,
minerals
eventually,
and stuff.
What they would have
metals.
to be self-sustaining, they have to be growing their own food. Which means you take soil. Mars soil composition is pretty similar to Earth.
Right.
But you need the proper levels of CO2. So what you have to do is you take that. You'd have to have, like, designated.
Do you think this could all be done in 20 years? You're crazy.
I don't know.
There's so much, dude.
You'd have to have. Well, you can only support them for so long. But whatever.
Right.
I'm saying you'd have to have all this planned out in order. You need a time frame or whatever. But anyway, yeah, you'd have to take.
And there's
soil.
so much that could go wrong.
You take soil and put it inside your own pressure capsules where you have the stable amount of environment, with the right amount of air, CO2 and oxygen. And then you could put that into an area that receives sunlight. And you'd have to water that stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has to have the proper sunlight filtration. And then there'd basically be an indoor garden.
Okay.
That's the only way.
And then I guess the economy would just evolve naturally where some people are working on some people would have to be designated to work on that farming portion. And they wouldn't really have a choice of not doing it, because if they had a choice of not doing it, they just die, and everyone's like...
somebody else would do it.
Well, they would vote that part. They would be like, look, you're doing this, or we're not feeding you, right? Like, we can't have a lazy person there.
Well, they'd be killing themselves.
Right, exactly.
But, yeah, hopefully we can weed out any lazy people.
Well, once they have kids and stuff, and generations are raised. But...
Well, I think they still understand that their own existence
right, they have to
in
work.
jeopardy. Yeah.
Right.
Plus, also, if you're born and raised on Mars, you don't know that there's anything else you can do. You wouldn't necessarily understand the concept of laziness.
That's a freaky concept, yeah.
Yeah, or like
they would probably
true
hear like
love or marriage, really, or anything.
Well, that would probably be there, though.
Maybe. I mean, could
relationships would form.
Like the entertainment aspect of it, like, are they watching movies from Earth?
See, that's what I was thinking. I'd assume they'd get a...
They'd probably have digital movies, yeah.
Yeah, they'd probably have... Because obviously there's computers, like, everywhere.
It'd be really easy to send them.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever.
They could send them, like, just, like, one, like, 12 terabyte hard drive of just, like, nothing but movies or something.
But loads of movies. And then by the time they get there, they're all 6 years old.
That's true. And music and stuff. It'd be like, this was the #1 hit of 6 years ago.
Yeah, 2009.
Wait till you hear what's going on Earth right now.
Well, actually, maybe they could send digital media a little faster. Like they could download it.
Yeah, probably a little faster.
Maybe. Maybe a few months.
I don't know. Do we send... because we send signals to Curiosity and stuff all the time. Curiosity sends us pictures and stuff. So yeah, that would be pretty easy.
Yeah. Of course, like a movie would take...
Obviously, like an HD, like 4K movie or something.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. What kind of culture would develop on a...
Yeah.
colony planet?
At some point, some form of economy would arise. Not sure how or what it would be. It becomes weird, like, because at what point
does... it would grow organically.
Right, but at what point does Earth, like, say, we're not sending you anything anymore. Like, at what point does Earth say that? Like, once they've got plants and everything?
When they can do it
like,
themselves, yeah.
Good luck, MC1.
Yeah.
Okay. And at that point, they're not getting paid or anything. They're just working to survive, like the same way Earth did.
I mean, essentially, I guess eventually, like, the crew that's there, when they can sustain themselves, they would work to expand.
Mm-hmm.
And then Earth would send more people up there to work.
Okay, sure.
And then you'd help sustain a bigger population, and then those people would kind of save up and store oxygen and, store up food and stuff to welcome the next batch of people.
It's weird though because like when
and you just keep sending people up there.
When you first start them,
and your kids too.
Right, that's true.
So you need that.
But when you first start, I'm still like the economy thing. Everyone owns everything. Like there's not like one person who's like, working on the farm and they own the farming stuff. It's like a collective ownership.
Yeah, like they've planned out to make enough food for everybody.
Yeah, it's like a shared thing.
And it's like a rations thing.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm like I'm having a hard time figuring out how the economy would actually start if everybody gets the same stuff all the time.
Well, there's the thing.
Eventually people would create toys and stuff.
Let's say everybody gets one apple every day.
Right.
Because that's how much we grow.
Right.
Well, maybe I don't want my apple, so I trade you for
for that little gadget you created or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would
Where did you get the resources to create that gadget?
Extra stuff. I mean, you're gonna have extra things.
Right, but it would all would be weird.
It would be very organic and very specific to how things play out.
Right.
On the colony.
It'd be cool though. So then what? If we just colonize the planet and then we turn Earth into an oxygen farm. I want Earth to be an oxygen farm.
I mean, I see where that is coming from and stuff, but it's hard to say what will become of Earth.
Like, because oxygen is still going to be a valuable resource, I think. Because some planets won't have the CO2.
If it's stable, well, we're talking about Mars first. I mean, how many generations is it going to take for us?
Eventually we move to another planet.
How many generations is it going to take for us to fill up Mars to max out its resources and need to move on again?
Mars is what percentage of Earth's size?
I think it's like 88.
Okay, that's pretty big. Yeah, and
it's got more land.
We don't even have Earth filled up, like. So.
Yeah, that's true, and it's like 99% land.
Yeah, so we would probably actually just never move from Mars until we wanted to explore other planets and stuff. We would have no reason to.
Yeah, eventually.
Unless like big businesses becomes like a monopoly thing and they like become corrupt and like own everything on Mars or something. And
well, eventually Martian society would get to the point where they do want to explore, just like on Earth. Not out of necessity.
Well,
just out of curiosity.
I think we would be it's not like a Martian society. We would be one society. Like we would be sending media back and forth. Like, oh, check out this sweet Martian band from the whatever crater sector, and they'd be like, heck yeah, I love this type of music.
Oh yeah. Everyone from the crater is awesome.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I mean, because we wouldn't just stop communication with them. Like, they're humans, Like, we would all be...
Yeah, like
the governments would be keeping...
Because if you're building up the colonies with new people,
mm-hmm.
then you're talking about families...
Right.
Like brothers and sisters on the other planet.
Eventually they would move off.
Here.
Eventually all the people on Mars would no longer be related to all the people on Earth. But unless we create a system where we can transfer back and forth.
Well, eventually you would. Eventually, if Mars has enough resources, you could come back.
Right, and it would just act as another country at that point.
And I think there would be people on Mars that have never been to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll want to check it out.
Dude,
because they'll have heard about it and they'll be watching movies and stuff.
I want to be the guy.
And they're like, holy crap! What is a city?
Yeah.
What is?
Well, they would have cities, but not like.
But they would look very. They wouldn't have skyscrapers, probably.
No, probably not. Because the pressure and stuff would not allow for a skyscraper to be like as tall and stuff. But
actually, I don't know. Oh yeah, actually, because atmospheric pressure gets lower the higher you get, and that's
Right.
amplified by the already super low.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
But,
Or
I
you might
mean,
be able to compensate for that.
can I, like, if this happens, I want to be the guy that gets there and is, like, the first one to start up trips to Earth. Because you could get so much money from that, dude. Like, being the guy who's like, alright, get on my ship, pay me, like, $1 billion. You get to go to Earth. Like, you've never been there before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, like, that guy's gonna make a lot of money.
I guess. Who knows?
He totally would, dude.
Who knows? Maybe we'll have evolved past currency
That's true, we could.
into I don't know what, but
It's funny you say evolved past, even though technically we've, at this point, have evolved into currency. Because it used to just be like a trading system, like how their economy would start out.
yeah. Well, that's
And now
that
we've
was the
evolved
most
into
efficient
currency.
way.
And so if we ever evolved out of a currency, that'd be weird. But
Well, no, we could evolve into something better.
right.
Like I don't know what,
I don't know either.
but currency is the most efficient way for us to trade goods at this point in time that we can think of.
Right. And I mean, in all the sci-fi movies and stuff, they all have currency, don't they?
In Star Trek: The Next Generation, they say that there is no currency anymore.
What do they do?
It's not like laid out or anything, but basically they say on Earth, like basically the technology has allowed for everything to be in all your necessities to be in such abundance
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have to. It's like a public good, like
That's cool.
like just like food, water, shelter, all your necessities.
I'd imagine
Just-
we, like, okay, unless we, like, reproduce like crazy and we get to, like, 20 billion people or something, I'd imagine that with all the space we have on Mars and all the technology there, eventually, like, if we have 2 planets worth of stuff, but we only reach, like, maybe, like, 10, 11 billion people,
How would they deal with teen pregnancy?
how do we
Mars.
deal with it now? Not very well. We're protection kids.
But if you got like 10 people, let's say you got 10 adults,
Mm-hmm.
5 men, 5 women,
Mm-hmm.
they're each married to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They have, let's say they all have kids around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say they have 5 boys and 5 girls.
Okay. Well, that's not how they're populating the planet. Remember, we're sending people over there too. We're not getting this incestuous, like,
It would,
society.
if you had 5 kids, you could easily.
Throughout, like, the generations, like, if each, like, throughout the generation, like, if each couple had 5 kids each, then you're multiplying enough where you can, like, mix and match. But if it was, like, each couple had, like, 2 kids, then you're getting into
You're
risky
talking about 20 kids.
It's getting into risky territory, though.
True. Well,
It
no,
depends.
they would know who their siblings were and who their siblings weren't.
Everyone would be related.
They've got
eventually.
18.
You would, yeah, but at some point you would, like, maybe even at, like, the 2nd or 3rd generation, you would be, like, mating with your 1st or 2nd cousins and stuff.
Not necessarily.
If you're trying to separate, okay. So why are we figuring this out? Okay, so you've got 5 couples. Let's say each of them have 2 kids.
Okay, that's 20 kids. Wait,
No, that's 10 kids.
Okay, 10 kids.
That's 10 kids. 5 girls, 5 boys. They do the exact same thing.
They have 2 kids each.
Yep.
Okay, that's 10 kids total. 15 people on the planet now. Wait,
No,
30.
30 people on the planet.
Okay.
Now, these ones are mixed. Like, it would be so much easier if we drew on that thing. But these ones are mixed. These ones are mixed. You know, like, there had to be pairings somewhere. And then in order to mate again, there's more pairings. And now this kid is related to this person because the original person over here had a kid here, and they mated with this one and this one. And it only takes like 2 or 3 generations before you're like mating with your cousins and stuff.
Well, second cousins are fine, I think, genetically. Actually, I think first cousins are fine genetically, too.
Well, yeah, I don't know the details on that. I just wanted to bring it up because we're sending people there anyways. We're not going to have them, like...
Well, for a long time, it was very common for people to marry first cousins as close as first cousins.
Cool.
I mean, ancient Egyptians actually were straight up incestuous.
And look where they are now. Ancient.
Okay. Yep, that's right.
Alright, I'm gonna go home and marry my first cousin.
Ew.
I probably haven't even met any of them.
You don't need to. We're not on an Mars colony.
No, that's true.
So anyway, I think we figured this out.
I think we did.
Okay.
What are the other questions you had, like moral questions or something? We already figured out the morals of it.
Yeah, okay.
Survival is more important
Terraforming Mars would entail 3 major interlaced changes. Building up the atmosphere, keeping it warm, and keeping the atmosphere from being lost to outer space. The atmosphere of Mars is relatively thin and a very low surface pressure. Because its atmosphere consists mainly of CO2, a greenhouse gas, once Mars begins to heat, the CO2 may help keep thermal energy near the surface. Moreover, as it heats, the CO2 should enter the atmosphere from frozen reserves on the poles, enhancing the greenhouse effect. This means that 2 of the processes build the atmosphere, and heating it would augment one another, favoring terraforming.
We've solved all those issues though, haven't we? Like, the
Yeah,
whole
we're
thing
talking
is
about
you have to create a
manually.
building. Like, you'd be living in a building your whole life. Like in the same sense, if a nuclear holocaust happened, you would be living in like a vault or whatever your whole life.
Well, some terraforming ideas sort of come from the perspective of making an Earth-like situation where you're not subjugated to living totally inside structures constantly, but terraforming to the point of having like very extremely similar Earth-like conditions.
It would be. I don't like. There's the pressure issue and stuff. Like, I don't think we could fix the pressure issue unless we added like a bunch of mass to the planet. Cause
yeah, I don't know if there. Yeah, that's a good question.
You can't add enough mass to a planet. Like,
importing ammonia. Another intricate method uses ammonia as a powerful greenhouse gas. It is possible that large amounts of it exist in frozen form on the minor planets orbiting the outer solar system. Huh.
So yeah, we figured this out.
Man, we would have to use.
Yeah, probably have to live in bunkers. It's not really a whole lot. I mean, eventually we could move to another planet or a moon or something that might have an atmosphere that we could walk out on and stuff, but... I mean, eventually, though, think about this too, like, the suits aren't going to be like the big spacesuits that we have now. It would only take, like, a couple decades before we get, like, Mass Effect style suits. Where they're, like, thin and body tight, where we just wear, like, a helmet that's a little, like, you know...
Yeah, but
obscure.
Who knows, we might be able to eventually terraform to the point of, like, very similar Earth-like conditions.
I don't think we would need to.
Yeah, well, it'd definitely be more... I mean, if we could, it would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I think that, and that's true, it would be great, but I think as of right now,
that opens up a huge world.
We shouldn't be focusing on that because that's so far off, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Well, unless it isn't and you just think it is.
Maybe. There could be a technology that comes out tomorrow that fixes pressure and everything. People are like, nailed it. And all problems are solved.
Yeah, so yeah. There you go.
Something with like plasma or something, because that's what we really don't know a ton about, right?
Plasma?
Plasma.
I think we know plenty about it.
I mean, I don't know plenty about it though.
It's like a fourth state of
matter, yeah. Uh-huh.
At least you're talking about plasma that's in your blood.
No. No, I'm not talking about that.
Well, wow, we figured it all out.
Yeah, this episode was decent.
I thought it was pretty cool.
One
of our best.
We didn't really have any questions, but it seemed
well, we had problems that we needed solutions.
And we found the solutions. I think AI was still our best episode, but we're not going to live in the past.
AI?
AI.
Are we going to revisit that?
We don't need to. That was one of the few ones that we actually got an answer on. Unless someone leaves a comment in that video and they're like, hey, you didn't bring up this issue, and then we'll do a follow-up video.
Wait, we figured it out. Did we decide that was a good thing or a bad thing?
It was a good thing, but the robots would be a little bit of oppressive, but it's totally fine because they'd be oppressing us correctly. As long as we have the 3 laws in their structure. Anyways, we talked about that one, so you can go watch the episode if you don't remember.
I should. We should revisit that when we go see Ex Machina.
I'm not gonna go see that.
Oh, really? But you'll see Cinderella?
No?
No, I did.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Okay. Did you go by yourself? Please tell me you didn't go by yourself.
No, I went with my mom and my sister.
Oh, okay. Because you had gone by yourself, like, as a movie critic, just like, alright, 21-year-old male, go to see Cinderella by myself. Oh, yeah.
No, I went to a funeral with my mom and sister.
And they were like, oh, that was sad, let's go see Cinderella.
Well, several hours later that same day, yes, we did.
Was that Saturday? Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything new happened in the world of movies you want to talk about? We're done talking about planetary colonization.
Yeah, dude, actually something that you would like.
Okay,
oh yeah, thanks for watching, guys. This episode about planetary colonization. After we finish the topic, we usually just evolve into whatever.
We usually talk about movies and music, so...
Yeah. The new Star Wars, the first Star Wars spin-off movie's been titled.
Has it?
Mm-hmm. Been cast, and we got a release date for it, and a release date for episode 8 as well.
Well, you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, it's called Rogue One.
Okay.
We don't know what the story's going to be about at all.
Well, it's clearly going to be about Rogue Squadron.
Right, that was what Luke's was called, right? In episode 4?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Well, there was a series of games called Rogue Squadron, and they were like the story of that whole group and stuff.
Like Porkins and... What's the other guy's name?
I don't remember all their names.
I just remember Porkins because he was like the fat one and he looked like a pig.
Yeah. But they're all like, Red 5 standing by, Red 2 standing by.
Oh, yeah, there was a few years back there was like a rumor about a Red 5 movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so they think this might be that, but they can't. The lead character is an actress who was just in a movie about Stephen Hawking. Academy. I think the movie was nominated, and the guy who played Stephen Hawking won.
Yes, I remember that. Anyways.
She was also on Amazing Spider-Man 2. Have you seen that?
Yes. Who was she?
She was like a secretary.
Oh.
She was playing she becomes Black Cat later.
Okay.
But I don't think that's happening anymore.
No.
Because...
Which I don't get. I don't know how the Sinister Six is gonna... Like, is Sinister Six still happening? Like...
It was supposed to come out next year. They said it's not coming out next year. Then the whole Marvel thing happened.
Right. Are they rebranding it with the new Spider-Man, even though they set it up with Amazing Spider-Man 2?
There was there was a report from somebody at Sony that said Sinister Six is still happening, and this was after the Marvel Sony team.
Can we just get Carnage, please?
Dude, I think he's too dark for...
Like, what? There's gotta be a Carnage movie at some point. Like, not a solo movie, but at least just, you know...
I mean, they gotta nail Venom first, I think. Because I think to do a Carnage movie, you have to have kind of sort of a Spider-Man Venom team up.
That's true. But I don't think, like, and you might laugh at me for this, but I didn't think Venom was portrayed that poorly in Spider-Man 3.
What? You like Topher Grace and stuff?
I mean, like, his personality and stuff was terrible, but, like, visually, I thought Venom looked great.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I thought visually he looked great, and, like, they were spot on with all, like, the comic stuff about, like, the sound waves and stuff. At least they kept everything to the comics with that until Tobey Maguire went emo. But, I mean...
You know, someone said that, like, Tobey Maguire, or, like, the Peter Parker character in that movie, he doesn't know how to be cool. and he's being controlled by this alien who also doesn't know how to be cool, but the symbiote is giving him the confidence to do what he thinks is cool and confident, and that is what
that makes sense.
That emo Peter Parker.
I'm I'm one of the people who thinks that movie wasn't that bad. Everyone always says it's really that bad. I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Well, it was a disappointment coming off of 2, but
like the emo thing, like we have to understand that was like emo was like a thing at the time too. Like right now we like cringe and he was like dancing down the street and that's like really cringy and stuff.
I think it was still when they did that.
It was cringy in 2007?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Even though it was a thing, it was just like, this is not the Peter Parker thing.
Oh, well no, it's not a Peter Parker thing.
Well, I mean, it's like nothing he needs to be doing.
How does the Peter Parker personality change in the comics when he gets affected?
He just gets kind of mean and angry.
Oh, okay.
And kind of more, I guess he's more confident in the sense that he gets mad at people more easily. Like, justifiably, usually. But he'll, like, tell you what's up and stuff, yeah.
So what were the details on the Star Wars movie?
That was it. We got the date. It comes out 5 months before... it's coming out, like, towards the end of next year. And then episode 8 is coming out May 2017.
Jeez, so they're like really doing like this yearly thing. Like they're going like
that's what they
like Marvel and stuff.
They said that when they first bought them, they said they want to do sequels and spin-offs.
Whoa.
One every year. So you get a sequel every other year.
I hope they don't like screw up, like obviously they're not keeping the same stories of like the whole expanded universe and stuff.
Nah, they scrapped it.
Yeah,
except for a few.
But if they totally scrap it and like get rid of like characters that were really important and stuff, like how Boba Fett's actually alive in the expanded universe because he was saved by that one dude and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if they just throw all that out, I'm gonna be kind of annoyed because people have spent a lot of years like learning all that and they can't just throw it out. I don't think.
Well, they already have thrown it out, so.
I hope not.
They can.
I mean, they can They can continue the story, just like, they don't have to keep the story of Han and the
Solo twins?
Yeah. Right, they don't have to keep that story. They could exist in the universe without them keeping that story.
What are you saying? Just like make a movie that's not about them?
But yeah, exactly.
Be in the movie?
No, they could not be in the movie, but they could not be entirely removed from the universe.
Well, how would you know they exist if they're not in it? They just get mentioned?
We don't have to know they exist in the movie. Just in the movie, be related to other characters.
There's nothing that contradicts their existence?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I guess. Yeah, that's what I thought that they might do originally. Like if they didn't want to do some EU stuff, then just make up new characters that don't necessarily negate anything that happened in the expanded universe.
Because they're not, like...
You know what I mean?
Right. Are they gonna, like, scrap the whole, like, Jedi temple and everything that, like, Luke set up? And they can't do all that, right?
The way I think of it...
They can't scrap
the way I
temple.
think of it like this, it's like a comic book movie at this point. It's like they're free to use any of that stuff.
And they should, because a lot of it's really well written.
Well,
There's a lot of good story there.
Yeah, I mean, people say that,
We could get Kyle Katarn movies, man. Kyle Katarn.
Sure.
We could get KOTOR movies. Now that's prequel, like
we
way
could get
prequel.
Kit Fisto movies.
We could. We could get
Jabba the Hutt, the origin story. Jabba Begins. Starting out as just a little slug.
We could get a story about, like, an entire planet of Chris, and then they, like...
We could get, like, a political thriller of, like, Leia's rise to power as the queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, these are bad stories, but there's good characters there with good stories.
Yeah. Dude, there's a Boba Fett comic book where, like, I don't know if it's in canon or whatever, but they take chronologically, it's like super early,
Mm-hmm.
but it came out after the prequels came out, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and like in it, like the Boba Fett is, the clones is Jango's son,
The son.
or yeah, like clone son or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he becomes Boba Fett, after his father and whatever becomes bounty, or he's trying to become a bounty hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and this like unknown bounty hunter or guy just like kills him,
Mm-hmm.
takes the suit,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know who this guy is.
And he's the new Boba Fett?
No. This story takes place like just a few years after episode 2.
Okay.
So it's
yeah, but we
basically
see Boba Fett in 4, 5, and 6, so he's taking over as Boba Fett.
Yes.
Okay. That seems
Basically
really cool,
saying
actually.
that like there's this guy that we don't know anything about is actually the Boba Fett that we know and met in the...
That'd be cool.
And it's basically saying that like all the cool stories
Mm-hmm.
that Boba Fett has been on is actually this guy of unknown origins.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well...
I like that. It's sort of like the Joker. Like you just don't know.
Right.
You just don't know where he comes from or how he knows what he knows and stuff.
But doesn't Django actually have Mandalorian origins? Like, isn't he Mandalorian?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of less cool if there's a guy who, like, kills off Boba and is wearing the Mandalorian armor and he's not actually Mandalorian.
He could be.
I mean, I guess
Maybe
he could.
he is.
But, no, wasn't, like, Django, like, one of the last of the Mandalorians or something?
Well, if he was, then he still could be.
Well, unless Death Watch Bunker exists and we have all the Mandalorian technology, no one's gonna get that reference.
Oh,
That's really obscure Star
they're out there,
Wars.
dude.
Death
Actually,
Watch
this
Bunker.
is a great thing to talk about for this episode because probably a buttload of the Star Wars fans are watching this episode, right? Right?
Right.
No.
I mean, the Mandalorians didn't exist in Death Watch Bunker, but we have all their technology and stuff down there.
There you go.
On Endor. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's all the big movie news.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently Batman might have a cameo in Suicide Squad, the movie.
Well, that makes sense. Oh, wait, is it gonna be Batfleck?
Well, yeah. Well, it's called
Okay.
Suicide Squad, and
I mean, yeah, but
it's not
Ben
not
Affleck.
his movie, but he
Right,
might be in
right.
it. It's not a Batman movie per se.
And no one cares about DC. DC's boring.
Oh, he's such a Marvel fanboy.
Not really. I don't even like comics that much, but I just think DC is like a very boring universe.
What are you talking about, dude? You don't even know, dude. You got the Lantern Corps, all of them.
Uh-huh.
You got the Amazonians.
Uh-huh.
You've got Atlanteans.
Uh-huh.
You've got Kryptonians.
Uh-huh.
And then you've also got basically any alien race you can imagine. You got Martians. Martian Manhunter. Well, actually, he's like one of the last. But I'm sure there's a comic book where like all his people are back or whatever.
I also don't like Star Trek, so we've talked about this.
What?
Could you turn further back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I turned so far that way that I went the other way.
Yeah, that was good.
What do you mean you don't like? How can you even say that? That's like saying I don't like food. There's like so much of it,
Yeah, I know.
and you need it to survive.
I've never seen any Star Trek that I actually wanted to like continue watching or like enjoy. I don't know. It's just boring.
Have you ever checked out The Next Generation?
No, which one's that?
The one with Patrick Stewart?
Probably, yeah.
What do you mean probably? Have you or haven't you?
Like, if I've seen them, I haven't like downloaded and sat down to watch them because I'm not that interested. If I've
dude, you gotta
when I've
watch it,
seen
dude.
them, it's like they came on TV or something, and I was like, well, let's see what's going on.
You need to
here.
get on that, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this movie called Buzzard. Came out last year.
Mhm.
You should get that.
I should get that.
Very metal.
What's it about?
It's about a guy.
A guy?
It's about a guy who's super poor. Well, he's not super poor, but he gets in over his head, and it's very metal.
Buzzard?
Yep.
It just gave me the bird.
Type in Buzzard movie.
Yeah, it did. It looks pretty metal. You've seen Hesher, right?
I haven't.
Really?
Nah, I heard it was just okay.
No, dude, I love that movie. That movie is just ridiculous. Like, when you first watch it, you're like, because it's GGL and stuff, and you're like, okay, this clearly looks like, from the trailer, you see, like, the Metallica scene or whatever, where he, like...
JGL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
Yeah, he's got like a middle finger on his back or whatever.
Yeah, and he, like Metallica's playing in the car, and it's clear it's a metal... That movie is so weird, dude. It takes so many, like, things to the extreme that you would not expect at all. It's basically you can't predict what's gonna happen in that movie at all.
I remember seeing the trailer. I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Definitely want to check that out. But then it got like 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I have no idea why. I thought that movie was really good.
Well, you also like Boondock Saints, so...
I don't think Boondock Saints is really good. I mean, it's entertaining. Like, if it's on TV, I'm gonna watch it for sure. But it's not like one of my favorites. Whereas Hesher, I think, is like just one step below my favorites.
Which are Scott Pilgrim and...
Scott Pilgrim, Punisher, Fight Club.
Punisher Warzone or Punisher?
2004 Punisher. The real Punisher.
Have you seen Warzone?
Warzone does not count. Warzone does not exist to
Have
Jacob.
you seen it?
I've seen, like, the ending on TV, and it was just bad from the ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I will definitely download this movie, though. After I watch freaking Guardians of the Galaxy and Whiplash.
Ooh, actually, yeah,
I'm so stoked to watch Whiplash.
That one I think you will like. I don't know how you feel about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I have to watch it because Ultron's coming out soon, so...
It's not going to even tie in.
Well, yeah, but it's still part of the same universe, and there was like a scene with the Collector or something, I heard. So,
there was?
So I'm going to have to watch that.
It sounds like you already know everything you need to know.
I don't know No, I have no idea what the story is. I just know that the Collector made an appearance like at the end or something, right?
No, actually he's in...
Okay, don't tell me that.
Okay.
Because I know nothing about the actual story.
But it's... Actually, I guess they do explain a little bit about the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, there is like a stone in it, right? We're introduced to a new stone or something?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the main MacGuffin of the movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
It's important to the Marvel Universe to watch that movie.
You know what? Actually, when they meet the Collector, he explains a lot about the stones and what they are and stuff. And where they came from.
Good. He needs to explain it for the people who...
I mean, a little bit.
Who haven't, like, looked into it and stuff.
Yeah. It's not like a big deal or anything. It's not like super complicated lore.
Right, it's not. They could explain it, but, you know.
It's like, and then, I mean, you've seen the Gauntlet, right?
That was in, like, Thor 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt they knew they were going to use that at that point.
Yeah, like...
Because there's a lot of stuff in there.
I thought, like... Maybe I'm wrong, but in the Gauntlet, wasn't that, like, an issue? Like, when the Gauntlet was there, didn't it have the stones in it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was the issue. I wasn't crazy.
But, yeah. Like, I heard, like, there's a theory that, like, just the placeholder for the stones are the same color as the stones.
Oh, okay.
That's why it looks like that. But,
or maybe they actually do tie it in with, like, Loki somehow, because, you know... Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Thor 2...
We already know all the stones aren't in the Gauntlet.
Oh, because of Guardians?
No, because...
Where was the other stone?
The Tesseract is a stone.
Is that, like, confirmed? Because I thought some people were, like, debating whether it was one or not.
I believe that's confirmed, yeah.
Okay.
Loki's scepter might be one. There's
no, see, that was the issue I arose when I was looking into it. People were saying that Loki, like in the movies they say that Loki's scepter is powered by the Tesseract. It's the same energy or whatever. And so that's why they're saying it, like one or the other's got to be a stone and the other's not. Like it can't be both of them.
Yeah, we definitely don't know where all five are, but because more of them are going to show up in Phase 3.
Not to mention the color thing. Like the Tesseract and Loki's scepter are like the same color. And each stone is like different colors, so they can't both be a stone.
Well, there's 5, so...
There's like a blue, a yellow, a green...
There's a 6th one that goes in the center, actually.
Which one's that?
I mean, in the comics, or...
I mean, like one... They all control different things, right? Like, one of them controls time or something, one of them controls... Yeah.
There's like time... There's like power gem, time gem, reality gem, the mind gem.
The mind's the blue one, right?
I don't know. I do know that the purple one in Guardians of the Galaxy is the power gem.
Would spoil it.
It's not like a big reveal.
Okay, I didn't know that though.
They don't even say it in the movie. James Gunn said it on his Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Somebody asked him.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not know that. I will have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's not even an issue in the movie. But, yeah, so we know for sure that the purple one is a power gem. We know for sure the Tesseract is one. And we know the ether from Thor 2 is one.
The ether?
The red misty thing that the elf guy was after.
Oh.
That's a gem.
Honestly, I thought Thor 2 was just, like, pretty bad.
I thought it was, like, just okay.
Like, man, Thor 1, I think was just awful. I think Thor 1 was just made for the Avengers setup because I think that movie was so bad.
No, dude. Iron Man 2 was made just for the Avengers. I think Thor 2 was pretty solid.
Iron Man 2 barely had anything to do with the Avengers except the end.
No. He meets with Nick Fury like 3 times in that movie.
Right.
They show the Captain America shield. They talk about the Avengers.
Black Widow's there too. And
Black
stuff.
Widow is like constantly voguing.
I think that movie was better than Thor 1, dude. Thor 1, nothing happened.
Dude, yeah, he learns the virtues of
I know, but
humility
it sucked so much.
over the course of that
really
3-day weekend
like
that he didn't have his powers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you recognize the issues. And then they fought like a giant metal man, and then nothing happened really.
Yeah, they fought the Destroyer
Right.
armor, which is like a legit comic book thing. I was really glad to see that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, you could definitely tell the budget was low on it, but I think they did pretty great for what they were working with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like most of the movie was them just like sitting around the freaking desert town and stuff. But
yeah, because he's like depowered for the majority of
yeah,
the movie.
which is a bad idea for a comic book movie. All right, well I think we've talked longer about movies than we did about actual.
No, he didn't. No, he
Okay.
didn't.
Well, any music news lately?
Got the new iTunes update.
Oh,
Don't know how
if you have uTorrent, you should uninstall it because uTorrent has had some issues lately.
What? I just downloaded that movie Buzzard.
If you have the most updated version of uTorrent, there's a hidden program in it that they're using to run like data mining and stuff on people's computers, and people found out about it and they're like, yeah, uTorrent, you're terrible and you shouldn't be using uTorrent anymore.
Haha, joke's on you. I don't have the latest version of uTorrent.
See, that's what I had too, and then I was like, screw it, I'm just not going to support them, and I downloaded a different one anyways, and I was like, you know.
Which one?
Qubit torrent. I think that's what I'm using.
Wait, we didn't address why you don't like Star Trek.
That's just boring.
Huh. It's weird.
I don't know, I wasn't raised on it, and so, like, you know, it's like one of those things that I just have no interest in getting into.
But you were raised on Star Wars.
That's my honest answer. Like, I say it's boring, and it is boring, but honestly, like, if I'm going to look into it, it's because I wasn't raised on it, and, like, I see it, and it's, like, it seems boring to me.
Dude, just
where, like,
give it a
Stargate
chance,
or something,
man.
I was raised on Stargate, too, and so, like, to me, Stargate is entertaining.
Actually, I haven't watched any of the TV shows, but the movie is pretty good.
Well, the movie was first, so, and that, I mean, it was obviously pretty good if it started a whole TV series.
Several.
Yeah, some people people didn't like Atlantis, but I thought Atlantis was okay.
I've seen an episode or two of that. I can't say if it's good or not.
Okay.
Did you ever watch? Crap. What was that TV show with Edward James Olmos?
I don't know who that is.
Oh my gosh. It's like a really popular. It was on Sci-Fi, I think. Oh my gosh. Where they're battling the cyclones.
That does not ring any bells at all.
Oh my gosh. There's a character named Gaius.
This is not ringing any bells at all.
Oh my. Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, I never watched it, no. I knew of it.
You never watched it? No. I think I watched the first season. It was pretty good. I just fell off. I don't know why.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
go watch Hesher and what was that movie you said? Buzzard?
Blizzard. No, that's not. That's just very specific recommendation.
For Jacob.
Go watch Birdman if you want like a really cool experience that I think most
And
people.
Whiplash. I'm advocating Whiplash. I haven't even seen it.
Yeah. How is it?
I've heard it's really good, and it's a movie about jazz drumming. Like
For me, really.
I've heard from everyone who's like really into drama and movies and stuff.
Oh, so it's not exclusively based on my recommendation.
No, I have other friends that like movies too.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to let you down.
Do they like them as much as I do?
They like went to the theater downtown to see Whiplash, and you didn't even do that, did you?
I did.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I guess they do like
Sundance Theater.
Yeah, I guess you guys do like.
And then when it got nominated, it came to AMC. And I could have saw it there, but I didn't
Okay.
because I'd already seen it. So I just I didn't download it.
Some
and
of
watched
them
it
like
again.
movies as much as you do. Yes. Do you have any friends that like music as much as I do?
Yeah, Matthew.
Matthew would like music. He got his haircut. And that's how we'll end the episode. Facebook.com/TCOpodcast, TCOpodcast@gmail.com, YouTube.com/Josiah.com//Josiah.com. Save them 373 backwards. Everything that Josiah loves.
Movies and such.
Movies and such.
Go to twitch.tv/Nurian Lindell, NURIO.
I never stream there anymore because I'm too busy, but maybe I'll be there and you can follow me and give me some credit. You can go to YouTube and find me on Nurian Lindell. Look at my Cool Days covers and judge me and stuff. You can add me on Facebook. Become my friend. Love me, please. Facebook.com/Jacob.Clodfelter.5. That's JACOB.CLODFELTER.5.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's just I didn't pick it.
How did you swing that .5? You're the fifth Jacob Clodfelter.
I think I am. I think I looked at the others and it was like Jacob Clodfelter 1, Jacob Clodfelter 2.
Did you try typing that in? And just see what page?
I mean, I think so. Or I went, or I searched up Jacob Clodfelter and like I looked at their URL or something. But yeah, you can add him on Facebook too, but he won't add you back because he's never on Facebook.
You can find me on Twitter though, Josiah Sandu. Twitter, Instagram, same. YouTube, same. Josiah Sandu. Just spell that out as best you can.
JOSIAHSANDHU, for those of you who wonder. Basically anything that he's on, I'm not on, and basically anything I'm on, he's not on. So you can find us technically anywhere on the internet. Anywhere on the internet, you can find at least one of us anywhere.
Anywhere. Tumblr.
Yeah.
Tinder.
You can
Grindr.
find me on Tinder. Yeah.
Christian Mingle.
Christian Mingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on there.
Everywhere, all of them.
Any sexy local Christian singles in your area looking for a hookup.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, somebody's calling me right now. In my area.
Yeah.
In my zip code.
This episode's like 2 hours long, guys.
Oh, this was great. Alright, well, thanks for watching, everybody.
Next week episode is health.
There you go. Alrighty, guys, we will see you next time. Bye. Alright, good episode, man.
Yeah, that was okay.